Yes, the meeting is being live streamed.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
welcome everyone. My name is Patsy Ferguson. I'm the editor-in-chief of Fourth Wave, and we are sponsoring this event. We're an international feminist publication on Medium, where writers get paid. So I hope you will find us there, where we have 54,000 followers. And today we have a group of women from all over the world who are going to discuss the term feminism and the concept of femininity and how they relate to each other. So, first off, I'd like to ask everyone to introduce themselves, and then we'll take it from there. So let's start
Hello.
with Muniba.
Hello, my name is Muniba. I am from Pakistan and I am very happy to be here. And I am the principal editor of Fourth Wave. Thank you.
How
Oh,
about who's going to go next? How about Sangeeta?
okay.
Maybe, okay. So my name is Sangeeta. I live in Italy. I've been living here for about, I want to say t 3 years, I think. And someone's just joined. Hello.
Hello, Uwanah. Hooray.
Hello.
You need to unmute and there we go. We're just in our introductions.
Okay.
But Sangeeta, go ahead.
Okay. So like I said, I live in Italy. I've been here for about 3 years. I work in tech, but I work specifically in UX. So I work in UX design. I work with a lot of developers. So ironically, even though, like we all know, um, web design and just generally programming started by women is now a male-dominated field. So pretty much everybody I work with is a man, except for me, and maybe if there's another more design-focused, so more creative person, that'll be a woman. So I get to see a lot of what we're probably going to be talking about at work constantly, and especially in Italy, it's pretty patriarchal here. We're we're not exactly like my country. I'm from India originally, and we're not exactly as I don't want to say backward. We're not exactly as conservative, but there is a huge streak of, oh, a woman couldn't do that. So I feel like I would be speaking from that kind of lens of being an immigrant as well as a woman in a field that's very male dominated.
Welcome. Wonderful. How
And I'm
about you?
also happy to meet everybody.
Very happy to meet you too. Pallavi, how about you? And then Uwanah go after.
Hi, my name is Pallavi Deburkastha. I am an independent journalist and digital writer from India. I currently live in Mumbai to be precise, and it is since Patsy mentioned this, I'm going to mention the time here as well. It's 9:39 p.m. out here in India, and I'm doing this with you all on Sunday. And whatever observations, life observations, and whatever experiences I have had since childhood, being a woman in a patriarchal society like India. So I write about that. I am not obviously a full-time contributor. I recently started writing on Medium. It's only been a year, but I'm a regular contributor to Fourth Way.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
All right, Uwanah, you're up.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Esther Uwanah Edit. I'm from Nigeria. So I'm a writer and also a principal editor at Wave. And I'm happy to be here.
Welcome. We're happy you're here too. So the way these live streams are working is we pass the hosting position around, and it's my turn this time. And I was inspired by a story written actually by Uwanah's neighbor, Damilola. And she may join us, although she had a wedding, so she wasn't sure if she'd be back in time, but she might join late. I don't know. But her story was about how she had posted a picture of her boyfriend on some social media. And then she got all these comments saying, "What? Why do you have a boyfriend? I thought you were a feminist." And so she wrote about that, and I thought, well, that's an excellent topic for us. What I want to talk about what feminism means, and I want to also contrast it with femininity. And maybe let's start with that intriguing question. Do people, I assume you're all feminists, so do people accuse you of being a man hater because you're a feminist? I don't know if you all see the screen the way I do, so I'm not going to call on you. Just let's go with the flow and speak as you wish. What do men call you a man hater, or do women?
Let me go first.
Okay.
Definitely, like, but most especially on social media because they do not know you. So I get called a man hater most especially on social media, not in real life. So like if you know me in real life, you would not think, oh, because I'm a feminist, I hate men. But because you post all these feminist content on like social media, they think, oh, it translates to you do not like men. So yeah, I definitely do call the man hater. I get to the have daddy problems and all of these things are not true.
And what's your response to that? Are you a man hater?
I do not respond. It's sometimes I do, but most times I do not respond. Because like there's so much information available on the internet. If you really want to learn, there's like it's very easy to find out what feminism really is. So it's 2026 and yeah, old enough. If you still do not know it and you just do not want to know, I do not respond at all.
I hear you.
Okay. So one day my 16-year-old brother said to me, "Who is your favorite author?" And when I told him that it is Khalid Hosseini, he was shocked. And he said, you are not a feminist? You said I am feminist, and like Khalid Hosseini is a man. Shouldn't you like women author? And then I explained to him that it is not about that it's me, man, or I am not like male hater. I love you. You are my brother. There are many person who I love who are male. So this one story was like he was only 16 and he was shocked like, why Khalid Hosseini? Okay, Pallavi or Sangeeta, you tell. We always talk so much. I want you to tell us
Pallavi, do
about
you
your
mind if I go
country.
first?
Yes.
I mean, with me, it's really funny because if I tell people, obviously, people assume that I'm a man hater. Of course, that goes without saying. But when I tell them that I'm not a male hater, the usual response is, oh, then you must be a pseudo feminist, you know? So you are one of those. So if you are not a man hater, you're not a real feminist. And if you are a man hater, then obviously then they start with all these other slangs. They'll say some really nasty things. Like I'll give you an example. So recently my cousin got married. Now she is this well-educated woman, only 20 years, 28 years of age, right? So she recently got married, and she's my first cousin. So and I was not there, so I was not invited. Although I was in my hometown at that time, and she got married around the time I was home. My mother was invited, but not me and my sister. Okay. And so obviously I was quite affected by it because she is my aunt's daughter. And that aunt is my mom's sister who calls, like they are pretty close. They talk to each other on call every day, right? So when I started snooping around, when I started talking to other relatives, we're a pretty big family. That's when I learned that her father does not want the group side of the family to meet me and my sister, especially me, because I'm a feminist. Okay. And the daughter is this sweet little thing, very guarded childhood. She has never worked. She has a master's degree in business administration, never worked a day in her life.
Oh,
She
what
will
a
be
shame.
shipped, and I'm purposefully using the word shipped and not moving to Germany because this guy, like obviously her husband, now husband, has a well paying job and all of that. So when they told me about her impending marriage, my first question was, this is a well educated woman. She has never worked a day. This is an arranged marriage, or so they say. I have my doubts about it, but whatever. Okay. For now, we'll consider this an arranged marriage. Why did you not think of letting her work, find her own lane in this world, find her footing? In the corporate world, and then maybe she had all the time in the world to get married. She's all of 28. She turned 28 after she got married. Very young girl, right? So when I said that, everyone was upset. Not in front of me, of course, but behind my back. The father was really upset that, how could she say this and all of that, right? So this is what happens in a classic traditional Indian household when you are a feminist. Okay. So they tried to keep me away from her and the wedding, of course, because A, it makes their daughter look bad. Okay. B, I'm a feminist, so I will go around saying these problematic statements because that's the question everyone's asking anyway behind their backs. The father is this misogynist, okay, who has never let his wife work. Okay, she was very beautiful, got married really young. He always had complete control over her. Now he is doing the same thing to his own and only daughter. Very well educated, could have done so many things, didn't last a day as an intern because obviously when you hold a sales job, you have targets. She could not meet her targets or she did not try to meet her targets, then she was fired. And she never went back to, she did not go through the entire job hunting process ever again because the father said, no, you can't go, you can't work, no one will treat you badly. So this is what happens when you're a feminist. You are cut off by society and unfortunately by your own loved ones as well. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm,
Hmm.
I feel like it's kind of obvious. You see the pink hair and everybody just is immediately, oh, she's a feminist. Yes. I feel like that's not really the insult that people think it is. Um, but I feel like most of the time when I have discussed feminism, a lot of the men that you would think are extremely misogynistic, they, for some reason, and I feel like a lot of women who have been in the dating scene. Now I'm married, so it's different. My life is entirely different because of that. But when I was single, a lot of men who are conservative are trying to get together with women who appear alternative, appear different, or want to be with women who are kind of like feminists. I don't know who said this quote, but I think the author's mother said something along the lines of, shit, I can't remember who it was, but it was like, the man is not really
African.
looking. Do you know it? He's trying to
Yeah, that's
put the
South
woman in the
African.
cage. Yes.
I can't remember his name too, but it's this South African
Oh.
guy.
Yes, yes, pretty much. I think he's South African. Yes, you're right. And he said something along the lines of, a man is not really looking for a woman who wants to be in a cage. He wants to take a free bird
Yeah,
and
he
put her
wants
in the cage.
Mm.
to be.
Yikes.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so when you come out of the that scenario from dating. When you go into work, it becomes a completely different animal because it's like, on the one hand, I used to work in Indian companies and South Asian companies, and I've worked with different people in the past. And the way you're perceived as how I represent is completely different for South Asians as compared to people in the West. But the mentality, surprisingly, is the same. Everybody is kind of apprehensive at the idea that you're a feminist. It's kind of vocal for the East. They're more likely to tell you, for example, even if you go into like a Chinese workplace and you're fat, they'll tell you to your face, "Oh yeah, you're fat. You're very fat." Yeah, so they do the same with the feminism thing. Oh, so you hate men. You're a man eater. Sorry, man hater. Jesus Christ. Not a man eater. But oh, Freudian slip. Um, but when you go into a Western arena, there's almost a veil around it. People kind of become very polite in saying, so do you ever date? Or do you date men at all? Or are you one of the lesbian? And it's very interesting, the just that perception, that switch from someone being so in your face, like, so you hate men, and then to someone who's kind of trying to be subtle, like skirting around the issue. I don't think that way about women. I'm pretty liberal. I don't vote for the bad ones, but I feel like maybe you're too harsh on the men. That's the thing with it in person. Online, it's a whole another beast. You've seen it in the comment section. They are a little bit emotional about the whole thing.
Mhm, mhm.
So just in person, everybody's a lot more, I don't want to say the words politically correct, but they're trying to be.
Yeah, they're trying to be polite.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels like the social media. I don't know. I wonder you read so much hateful commentary there. And I just wonder what percentage of people are doing that? Is this just a small group of people spreading so much misogyny and hate and insult and rudeness online? Or is that representative of humanity? I don't think it is. I mean, I hope it's a small percentage of people who are there making those mean comments. One comment you made reminded me when when my children were in preschool, they had a teacher who was fat, and someone who was speaking Spanish said, "Oh, la gordita," meaning the fat one. I was like, I couldn't believe they would say it that way, but it seemed like in Spanish it wasn't insulting. It was almost even a term of endearment, I guess. La gordita sounded sweet, but it's interesting to see how different cultures treat bodies and women and all that. Um, I want to say, as a teacher, I was a high school teacher for 17 years. And and this was 15 years ago or 10 years ago, um, when I first entered in the US teaching feminism, nobody wanted to identify as a feminist. No teen girl wanted to. But towards the end of my career, a lot of them were saying I'm a feminist. And I think it had to do with pop stars saying they're feminists. So Beyonce says she's a feminist. Taylor Swift says she's a feminist. And then the girls go, yeah, I'm a feminist too. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. Um, and then I'm also really curious about your definition of femininity. I mean, do you find it's a tricky topic? When I was growing up, when I was a young woman, it was the 70s, and the women were supposed to be very positive things, loving, generous, earth mother, Um, and I was okay with that, but now there's a lot of negative definition of femininity online. First from the manosphere, they have horrible things to say, but also even for me, I'm put off by the trad wives and also the women who want to exaggerate female physical characteristics, like get a butt lift, get a boob job, get long eyelashes, long fingernails, um, and all that. I don't like that, and I don't know if that's politically correct or not. But I also feel like all those things are disabling in a way. A lot of those things, like the clothing women wear, high heels, you can't walk in those, you can't run in those, you can't get away in those, really tight clothes, which are cold at night. I feel like they make them more vulnerable. I saw a video of Cardi B, a rapper, showing how she could change a diaper with her fingernails because people were asking her, how do you change a diaper? She had a baby and she has fingernails like this long. And she said, oh, I can do it. I do it this special way. And I was just, why are you disabling
Yes,
your
sibling.
capacity to use your hand? So anyway, what do you think of femininity? How do you define it? How does your culture define it? What do you think of these other expressions of it? Uh, Anyone who wants to jump in?
Okay, there's this, would I say it's kind of like a trend on social media. You know how women are always told to, like, oh, you should do these things to be more elegant and feminine. So there's a kind of trend on Twitter right now where maybe there's an headline of a woman who maybe she killed a rapist. They'll be like, oh, things that make you more elegant and feminine. And maybe it's another headline like this woman, her boyfriend, like maybe there's a video and she beats him back like blue and black, and they're like,
Oh,
oh, gestures that make you more feminine and elegant. So obviously, like I think there's a very neat box of what is considered feminine or not feminine. But personally, I think being a woman, like doing things as a woman, is I consider feminine. I don't subscribe to the old box that they try to put, the box of characteristics of femininity. As long as you're a woman doing something, it's feminine, please.
Yes, very much.
So in India, femininity, unfortunately, any women who are coy, women who do not speak up, who do not question male authority, or they do as they are asked, those women are considered very feminine, easy to like, very like you mentioned, right? Very people who have those traditional ideas of how a woman should be. Anyone who subscribes to that thought process is feminine.
I feel like obviously we're from the same place. So it's pretty much the same ideology, but I feel like it goes a little bit further when you go into like different factions of Indian society or Asian society, because there's also a huge class variable involved. I really don't want to get into casteism because I'm not Hindu, so it's not really my place. But I do think when it comes to class, certain women are actually allowed a voice. Even if you don't get to see it, they get to make those decisions because they are upper class, as compared to certain women who are meant to work and have a certain figure and have a certain, I don't even know how to describe it exactly. Maybe Pallavi can also help me because you are actually there day in and day out and you get to see it. Certain women are expected to not show their femininity, or they might invite bad intentions from men. So a lot of like there's this spectrum that you have to kind of there's a balance that you have to have because on the one hand you need to be an object of desire, but then if you're not or you're too much of an object of desire, either way you are kind of ostracized. So it's the thing about the silence that you said, it goes into every single facet. Women who are lower caste or lower class who work, say, as domestic help for a
Yeah.
lot of people, our definition in the West of domestic help is very different than the definition of domestic help in India, or I'm not really sure about Pakistan, but at least in India that I've seen, they tend to be people who are down on their knees, constantly cleaning, scrubbing, doing really brutal labor. And they're expected to be the most quiet. They have to be almost non-existent. You cannot show any kind of emotion other than just talking to the woman of the house. And that woman gets to have a voice, but with you, the lower class woman. So feminism doesn't just stop at the woman of the household, but it also is about how that woman wields or welds, I'm not sure how to pronounce the word, her power vis-a-vis other women around her, whether they are below her in class or above. I also, if I have to contrast that with here, there is more of a haves and have not sort of society here in Italy. So femininity is more anybody who looks Northern Italian is seen as feminine. So more blonde features, more light eyes and things like that. I feel like Toni Morrison did such a beautiful job of talking about it in The Bluest Eye. She's my favorite author, so I might bring her up every now and then. I'm sorry. Just a
Okay.
disclaimer. Um, but she did a really beautiful job of talking about what it feels like to be in that kind of society, especially when you're not like the haves. You don't have those features. So then you start to ask yourself, am I even a woman if no one refers to me as such, if no one sees me as woman? There's also a case, for example, in India for women who are lower class and lower caste who have worked in fields and to the point where they have completely needed complete hysterectomies to remove, yes, their, I would say a vital organ. Like it is vital. Like no one would be doing the same thing to a man if they could help it. But you're removing it so that those women don't have to take time off and they can continue working.
I read
And
about that.
usually, yes, and this story, because I first came across it from I think the BBC, which is a strange source to get your information if it's about India. But like I see the irony of saying that's where I saw it. But that's where I saw it, and it's very like this is the functional way in which you understand it. You're not allowed to exist as full female if it's not profitable. So it's I don't want to continue. I feel like you guys also should be speaking. I'm sorry.
That's
But
okay.
this is a whole can of worms, and I don't really want to continue. But if you have something to add, please do.
Well, I just
So,
want to say we had a story in Fourth Wave about that, those hysterectomies, those women working in the fields. And I don't know if you wrote it, but I just remember the topic. But go ahead, someone else, Muniba.
Okay, in Pakistan, um, it is like feminist name or feminism. It's like something curse, like or bad word. Like if we said, "Oh, she is feminist," it is some kind of equal to she is prostitute. Not that bad thing. Like they like do it like this. So when it like there now people are getting educated, they are gaining education, they are working on this, but feminism is very misunderstood, and person who are like in TV or something, 8 March is like Feminist Day, Women's Day. So they go and take banners, and all of them are like Patsy said, with fingernails like that big. And in Pakistan, they are wearing shorts, skirts, and like top. And they like in Pakistan, many of us are Muslims. When people say this kind of thing, they get the idea, I don't know why, that if woman is modern, then she is feminist. And the many of banners said that go and cook your own food, go and find your own socks, not things like real things what is going in South Asian women's, like Sangeeta said, like things like in lower class is also some kind of lower class. No one is accepting this, but no one is saying about this, but there are women who are suffering, who are doing work, who are doing like uh, they are living in earths, and they are in constant labor, like they are taking care of their families, plus they are gaining like paying bills and all of this. No one is talking about these kind of things, and they are saying go cook your food. So I think it is some kind of propaganda in our country, some kind of, and I think I hear somewhere, I don't know if it is true or not, but they said that men are paying these women to come and take the banners and that media and this kind of thing, that to show that feminism is bad thing. So I don't know if it is true or not, but sometimes I think about that too, because no women wants this kind of, like, you can um, give positive messages. You can say that how many women are getting raped in this country, how many women are killed by their partner, and things like this, but no one is talking about this. So that's why feminism is bad word.
I wanted to add something to the conversation about femininity, because I feel like everybody related it to like where they're from, and I did not. So I'm from Nigeria, and femininity over here is it has a color, because it's like black country, but it's very colorist, and the people are described as feminine over here are those with fair skin. Like once you are fair, you are automatically feminine. Like you're soft, you're described as clean, and synonyms like that. So I think India is head class. So over here in Nigeria, it's colorism, and the fairer ones are the ones that are feminine. So if you're dark skinned, you're more masculine, and you have to actually prove your femininity. We had this actress that was going viral last year, and she's very soft spoken. Like it's really nice, but she's very, very, very soft spoken. And when one of our movies became like very viral, we had people taking classes on how to speak like how to be feminine, paid for classes on how to be feminine. Like this actress was so wild. It was a wild time of in the year last year. So yeah, femininity over here as a color, and it's fair skinned.
Yeah.
In India, we have proper fairness creams, like because like she's
In Pakistan too.
yeah, so fair because in India, fair-skinned women, unfortunately, are given preference over women who are dark
Yeah.
skinned. So yeah, because they are more feminine. Okay, they deserve all the
Yeah.
opportunities in the world, and if you are dark skinned, you will be
It's
reminded of
pretty
the
good.
color of your skin every single day.
Yeah.
Well, I was surprised. I read a blog by a woman writer, Rebecca Solnit, who's from my area, the San Francisco Bay Area, and she writes for The Guardian, and she also has a blog. Um, but um, she used the line "Thank you, feminism" somewhere in the article, and that inspired me. And I went looking for what are the things that feminism has brought to women. What can we be thankful for? And in the United States, we always hear about the vote. Yes, the vote is very important. Of course, we want the vote, but there's so much more that has happened here as a result of feminist activity and activism. But it was interesting. I looked and I couldn't find, I thought I would find a nice graphic with, key points, and it'd be easy and it'd take me 5 minutes. So what has feminism done for us? But I had to look all day, and I never found anything. They would mix famous women in with rights. There wasn't anything just about how have our rights been increased. And so eventually, what I did was I went through a Wikipedia article and I pulled out, and every that article was focused on legal. It's all been in the courts in the U.S. It's all been women saying, "Hey, this isn't fair. I'm going to go to court and establish my right." So, in the story on fourth wave is called Thank You Feminism. And it has the whole list. But I just remember a few of the things like women originally couldn't have their own money in the US, they couldn't have their own bank account, they couldn't own property. So you were literally uh, household slaves. I mean, you couldn't get away. There was no way to earn money unless you were a prostitute, unless you got outside of the social structure, so you were an outcast. Then maybe you could earn some money somehow. Or also, if you were poor, I mean, poor women were always housekeepers or whatever. But um, even getting a loan, getting a job, being allowed to work, all those things, and some of them quite recently came really as a result of people saying, "Hey, women are people too," and I think that's. Um, I think that these kinds of claims that, for instance, that feminists are man haters are sort of propaganda against feminism. I also had a story based on another story I read. I'm always inspired by the stories I read to write another one of my own. Uh, about how feminists actually like men more than men do. According to several studies, like they ask them, anyway, feminists are obviously not man haters and like men as much as men like men or more. Um, so I don't know where I'm going with this, but just it's a shame that feminism is considered a negative and an insult. And I think that needs to change. And I think, Muniba, you're right that focusing on serious harms done to women is a good idea, on femicide. But we also want those little things too. We do want to not always be in the kitchen, right? Or to not always find the pajamas, like you said in your last story, which was very funny. If you haven't read it, Mooney's story. What was that called, Mooney? I enjoyed it. It made me laugh. What was it? What was?
Yes, yes. My uncle just died, and it was like chaos in our house. So everyone was like fighting, like men were like Pallavi and Sangeeta knows this is like what they see thing. Like they were asking about where is my pajamas, and like pajamas just ran away somewhere. Go find it. It is easy. Please read my story.
What's the name of your story? Remind us.
It's raising a queen in the house of many kings. Like I'm raising my daughter who is 3 months old, and so yes, so the story is inspired by this.
It reminded me also, my father-in-law was something like that. And and his wife's name was Irene, my mother-in-law. And when we were driving to their house one time, my little child in the back said, Grandpa say, I ween, because he'd always sit on the couch and yell for her to get him this or get him that,
Yes,
I ween. So it
yes,
made me laugh for the little
yes.
child.
This
That's
is
what he noticed.
yes. It is like same here. Fatma, Fatma, and Fatma come rushing from the kitchen and give me glass of water. And he is sitting on a couch and watching television. Like,
Oh
do
wow.
it. It is here. Like, so this is some kind of desi thing, and I hate it.
I feel
Well,
like it's
Ego
also,
is stifling.
yeah, it's also such a dichotomy because I grew up in a household where we had this, where the men are constantly like, oh, get me this and get me that. I can't find my wallet. But then also, you're supposed to pretend like because he is the man of the house, he is the most capable. So
Yeah.
I was around grandfathers and fathers who were like, well, I cook better than your mother, but where's the food?
Well, yes.
Who's cooking it?
Yeah.
She's cooking it. So you're gonna
Yeah.
eat it. If you don't like it, go to the kitchen and cook it. Where is it
Yeah.
coming? Yeah.
Similar. Right? And recently, we were having a conversation in my house while my mom was cooking. And my dad was like, you don't ask me what I want to eat. You just enter the kitchen and cook. And I was like, okay, if you have something you want to cook, like, why not cook it? And it became such an argument. Like, why would I say that? Like, if you have something you want to cook in your mind, why can't you just cook it? But
Yeah.
yeah, well, like the most capable people in the house.
Mhm. Well, another question I have, we've talked a little bit about femininity, and I think there's a lot more to say about that. I mean, I don't even know. I kind of feel like those terms, and I did write a story about this also, are outdated to say feminine versus masculine because people don't really agree on what they mean, and people have different skills. Most skills are not gender related. I got a comment from a troublemaker saying I was a man hater or whatever. And then I said, well, how about this? I'll write a poem praising men and you write a poem praising women. And he said, okay. And then I ended up just listing a number of things that I love about my husband. It
Yes,
wasn't really a
correct.
poem. Um, but when I looked at it, I realized none of these are gender specific traits. They're
Yeah.
just traits of people I like, people I love, people I want to hang out with. Intelligence, kindness, bravery, loyalty, caregiving. He was an excellent caregiver when I was sick, and nurturing of the grandchildren. Those are coded feminine, but I didn't see anything in there that was really coded masculine. And I feel like, why do we even have these terms? I don't think they're useful, and I don't think people agree on them. I think they're only used to limit and restrict. What do you think of masculinity and versus femininity? What do you think of these terms? Go ahead if you have a thought. If you do. Let's veer into the masculine. What do you think is masculine?
Okay, so okay, for me it is like you said that I don't care about any this kind of thing. Like masculinity or something like this is very, very like big point in my society. Like it is like if man is going to kitchen, oh, are you a female? Are you feminine? Like this. And but I don't think like my husband is not like this, and he is very handsome man. Everyone like everyone in my like household know that he is, but he do change my daughter diapers, and he give her milk and everything. But for me, it is not feminine versus masculinity. It is about, like Patsy said, it is about kindness. Oh,
Yay, Dami, you're here.
Yeah,
Um,
she
uh,
was attend a separate meeting.
okay, well, we're glad you came. We're getting close to the end, and but hopefully you can add a little something. Um, we're not seeing you live though.
Hmm. Good evening. Good evening from here, Patsy. Good evening, everyone.
Good
From wherever.
evening.
hello, good
So,
evening.
so I don't know. Do you want to see me? It's
Yes,
kind of dark here.
we want to see you, please.
Try my best.
So your story is the inspiration for our whole conversation about when you posted a picture of your boyfriend and people replied, "What? How do you have a boyfriend? I thought you were a feminist." Can you tell us a tiny bit about that experience?
Can I take a photograph?
A photograph, sure. I don't mind. Does anyone mind? Oh, I forgot to record this. Well, hopefully it's actually working. I think it is working on YouTube.
I love
Okay.
it.
Okay, Dami, are you going to let us see you or no? It's up to you, I guess. It's just easier to relate when you're, oh, here she comes, a double. Oh,
Back now. Hi, everyone.
hello.
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 Welcome.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, nice to meet you.
So
Nice
tell
to
us about what happened when you posted pictures of your boyfriend.
Yeah, so just like I reported, it was festive period, yeah, and everybody was trying to post, oh, thank you for 2025. And I posted this picture, yeah, and people were like, oh, damn, so you have a boyfriend and you come around here to rant about men. And I'm like, hello, I'm not a misandrist. I don't hate men. I love men. In fact, most of my friends are male. So the only thing we are fighting for is equality. We are not trying to say you should not do with men, you should do away with men. In fact, when I tell people that okay, I love my dad more than my mom, they'll be like, oh wow, yes I do. But the only thing we are fighting for is equality. Is not to throw away the men we have in our lives. Because my dad gives me more listening ear than my mom. My mom will be like, oh, you children of nowadays, that's how you behave. But my dad will be like, okay, I believe you. I believe you know better. I'll try to work on that. So I love the way he's more relaxed. So now imagine me because I call myself a feminist. I'm now trying to throw away that kind of man. No, that's not. And my man too, when I say, oh, babe, I'm tired today. This thing, we are supposed to do it together, is a 50-50 thing. You'll be like, oh, well, that's right. That's because they are giving me listening ears. They are also ready for the change. They are trying to incorporate my teachings to what they're doing. And that's where it all makes sense. So I was trying to educate people that there's a difference. So the ones that are ready to learn will definitely do right. And the ones that still want to be ignorant will still continue. So that was the inspiration of the story. And that was what made me write about it. And when Esther reached out to me that you said you liked it, I was like, wow, it's the unexpected ones that actually do the most. Say that.
That kind of reminds me of what Mooney said previously, that her dad was more of a feminist than her mother also, and that her mother would want to like give the big piece of chicken to the son, and the dad said, no, no, if he's having chicken, we're all having chicken. Everyone's having the same. And so he was promoting equality of the gender in the
Yeah.
household more than the mother, which is unfortunate that our mothers really uphold the patriarchy uh, and push that system that diminishes their daughters and themselves. I don't
That's
I
know.
can remember,
was from our mothers actually, because there's even a story of mine in the queue right now. I was trying to say that will there ever be a world ruled by women? And I started the paragraph with the same women are the ones promoting patriarchy. Imagine I wanted to go out on Christmas Day and my brother wanted to go out too. And my mom was saying, oh, let him go first. And my brother is the last child, right? But in our defense, he's not going far. He's the son. Let him go out first. He will soon be back. I was like, but mom, I got here before him. Those are the scenarios. It actually starts from our mothers. So the only way we can change this is to first of all check ourselves before we try to promote the change in the society. So I'm really impressed with this topic.
Let's go. I agree. Yes. Were you going to say something, Uwanah?
I wanted to talk about a situation when I started writing on Medium again because I was writing before then I stopped. So I started again, like that was 2024 December. And when I first started, I think that same month, one of my friends, not even like a friend like that, one of my classmates then, when I was still in school, because he has my contact, he reached out and I was like, oh, I saw one of your stories. You're a feminist. And the way he said it, because the way they say it over here is almost like derogatory, like it's an insult, like, oh my God, you're a feminist. That's the way they say it. And the first thing I did was I looked for a one medium and I blocked you because it was like, oh my God, like you cut me. But I later unblocked him. But honestly, that's how it is over here. People still look at feminism as this because there's this thing of trying to copy the West, and it's like, oh, you're trying to copy the West, and also you hate men, and also you're like going against our culture because we have our own culture over here. You're going against the culture and the tradition we have over here. So yeah, that's the way they look at feminism here.
I think a lot of bad practices are justified by saying their tradition or their culture. And guess what? We created that culture, and the culture changes as years pass, and we can change it.
Yes, yes, we can. Yes, we can. Because even some females, even some male, in my own case, most times males are more feminist than females. In the sense that a female will be telling you, oh, you want to be a feminist and you don't have money, you are broke. I'll be like, what does being broke? How does it relate to being a feminist? Are you saying, okay, once she has money, she's supposed to
They
leave a man,
attach more.
a family, supposed to leave a man, start living this, okay, she's a baddie, she's independent. No, no, that's not the way it works. So, but then when we try to correct it, when I talk to one person today, the person understands it and tell another person tomorrow, then another person. I think that way the cycle will go, the world will go around the cycle and everybody will try to emulate the change one after the other. there was something that was going on. I don't know if you saw it, Esther, about Maraj when she was a woman,
Yes.
18 months. And the way people responded to that post. People were so aggressive with her that she has a man that is doing this for her. She's giving birth every now and then. Now she has the guts to come and talk about being a feminist. And it was like, you guys are not practicing feminism the way it is. And so it's because mentality matters. The culture that we feel that, okay, this is the way it should be too matters. And that's not the way it is really. So we need to start from ourselves before we start taking everybody as a whole together. So I think I agree with Patsy.
Well, we're actually at the end of our hour, but it's been wonderful having everyone, and I hope you'll come back next week. We will have another conversation. And Muniba, if I'm saying it right, I'm used to saying Muniba, but Muni, it's actually your turn next week to host. So
Okay.
think about what you'd like to talk about, or if you know,
Ye-
maybe you could tell us now. And I'll make an
No, I will
announcement.
let you know.
Okay. And I'll put something up on YouTube announcing it, and probably in Fourth Wave also.
Okay.
And I just want to thank everyone
Are
for,
we allowed to another guest?
yeah, we can bring another guest. Yeah,
First, I was thinking about Pallavi, she is here. Then Sangeeta, she is here. Then Demi, she is here. Think about it.
well, would you like them all to come back? It's your turn next time.
Yes.
Okay,
Why
please come.
not?
Yeah,
Please
we'll come
come.
back.
All
That-
Welcome back to you. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well,
Demi, please welcome.
the link you got to this should work next week, but I'll send it out again also. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
so much for
you.
having me. It was such a lovely conversation. Really loved connecting with everyone. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you for
Thank
doing
you.
this, and so glad to hear what everybody had to say. Very interesting um, nuances from different parts of the world. So very blessed that I saw your email in time, and yeah, excited for the next one. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
But
We'll see you all
thank
next week.
Yep.
see you time next
Bye-bye.